I think we're doing better than even our own expectations. We're in 1.4% positive growth this year, and non-oil exports are up by 40%. We are experiencing better revenues from oil. Obviously, oil prices have gone up. We're also seeing a generally improved economic space. Investments have gone up almost by 100% since about a year ago. That's foreign investment have gone up almost. So I think that we're in a moment of great movement, great dynamism. I think things are moving on very well.
And I think a good thing for Nigeria is that you've been listed in the top 10 countries of ease of doing business. Yes. What difference has that made to you coming to this investment conference here at Davos?
Well, I think the major thing is that we have some acknowledgement from the world, especially the World Bank, that Nigeria is a place that's open for business, and that, as you said, we're listed among the top 10 performing countries in the world in terms of ease of doing business. So this is very good for us, and a lot of investors, of course, are looking our way on account of the fact that they see positive development in terms of creating a better environment for business. We've also just recently released our incentive regime, a publication which details all of the available incentives across sectors of the economy. So it's a bullish period for us in terms of attracting business, and we're excited.
Well, speaking about sectors of the economy, I know one of Nigeria's great dreams is to start growing its own food again after years of importing with oil money. How is that going?
That's going very well indeed. What we've found, for example, just to take rice as an example, between rice and wheat, for instance, we were importing almost $3 billion worth of that particular produce. But today, we are possibly one of the largest growers of paddy rice. We're doing close to 11 million metric tons of paddy rice. Milling is a bit of a problem, but we will be self-sufficient in rice production, we hope, by 2019, by early 2019. At the moment, we're doing exceedingly well. Imports of rice have gone down by as much as 80%. And that's one of the major food imports that we have. We're also looking at other areas, sorghum, millet, and all of those areas where there's also a great deal of activity and a great deal of agricultural growth. At the same time, agriculture also means more jobs. So many more jobs are being created, especially in the farming areas.
And in these times as well, you're seeing great buoyancy in the stock market, and also your foreign reserves are increasing. Yeah, I mean, how has that been going?
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent as well. Foreign reserves are $40 billion, which is the highest in about 4 or 5 years. And we're also seeing a great deal of progress with respect, as I've said, to investment. But this is going very well indeed. We're quite happy with the capital markets. We're listed as possibly the best performing capital market in the world. In the past, there's a recent, about 2 weeks ago, that report came out. We hope to be able to sustain that bullishness in the capital market.
And infrastructure, I know that's a big story as well, particularly on the power front for Nigeria. Are you going to use some of these foreign reserves to help build up Nigeria's infrastructure? What spending are you planning?
Yes. For infrastructure, we're doing quite a bit. First, with respect to power, we're now doing something in the order of between 7,000 megawatts and 9,000 megawatts. Now, we expect that with improvement in transmission and distribution, that will be able to make an impact. At the moment, the impact isn't as wide as we would want it to be, isn't as deep as we want it to be. We want the power sector, we want, the consumer to actually feel that impact. And that has to do with a lot of investments in transmission and distribution, which we're doing, the last mile investments to get to the consumer. With respect to rail, we're doing a lot of work in rail. We're doing the Lagos-Kano rail, the new standard gauge. That has already started with the Lagos-Ibadan end of it. We're investing close to $10 billion US. We're getting some funding from the Chinese with counterpart funding from Nigeria. We've already provided our counterpart funding. They are providing their own part of that resource. We're also doing the Lagos-Calabar train route, which we expect will open up that route also, the whole of the Delta area, going up towards the southeast and the south regions and all of that. So that's also something we're doing in the area of infrastructure. So roads are big for us, railways, we're working very hard on railways, and of course power.
And how much more do you plan to increase the investment in places like Lagos that are highly congested, as we know, sort of metro rail, that sort of thing? Have you got any plans for that?
Well, the Lagos state government, as you know, we're a federal state. So the government of Lagos state has its own plans. I'm told that they're interested in doing the fourth mainland bridge. I haven't heard of any new developments in terms of the metro infrastructure at this time, but I know that they're trying to open up new roads, especially the fourth mainland bridge, which will be a major road route around the city, going into the outlying areas of the city, into Greater Lagos. So I think that will happen. But one of the things that we're doing is that in the standard gauge rail, we'll be going through portions of Lagos all down the southwest from the port areas. So this is really important, especially from the point of view of movement of petroleum products, movement of goods from the port area, because the railway actually starts in the Apapa port and then goes out to the outlying area to the outlying areas through the southwest all the way up north. So we think that will improve the general logistics, transport logistics.
And what about social investment spending for the people on the ground in Nigeria? What are you going to do there?
Yes, we since 2016, we're possibly we're probably investing in the most ambitious social investment project that the country has ever seen. We're putting 500 billion naira in the budget, and we've done that twice now. This new budget, we're also putting about the same amount of money, which means that we're able to engage. In total, we hope we'll be able to engage 500,000 unemployed graduates. We'll be able to give microcredit loans, conditional cash transfers also to the poorest of the poor. So our social investment scheme is very important. Philosophically for us, it really is a question of not just talking about macroeconomic policy. We are concerned about social policy. Social policy is crucial, because we think that for the inclusive growth that we've been talking about, we must find a way of accounting for the vast majority of our people who still are in one form of deprivation or the other. And that's why this social investment scheme is extremely important. And we hope that we'll be able to actually improve on the numbers in terms of the social investment itself, and also to see incremental numbers in those who are coming out of poverty.
And last but not least, there's an election coming up in Nigeria. I understand from my sources that the present president, Mr. Buhari, is going to stand again as president. How do you think the election year is going to play out?
The president has said that he's entirely focused on this term. He's focused on this term. He wants to ensure that he's able to deliver on as much as possible on the promises that have been made. So he's actually completely focused. We're not talking in our government, we're not talking about 2019. We're focused at this point on ensuring that we deliver on the promise. We have a 4-year term for now, and that's what we're focused on. And that's what the president is also focused on.
Well, best of luck with that. Thank you very much for your time and insights.